Markets are in complete mayhem for these past 72 hours. Up, down, back up again, now down, now sideways. There's earnings. There's China and America in a conflict. There's China and Europe in a conflict. There's Middle East news. There's so much going on and we have to break it all down. And I'm here to chronologically explain all of it for you guys. Hey everybody, I'm Spencer Hakimian and welcome back to yet another episode of What's Moving Your Money on Forbes. And on today's episode, as I just alluded to, we're covering all of it. In case you missed any of it, stop and watch the rest of this video. I will cover all of it, not just what happened, but also its impact on markets, its impact on the economy, and its impact on many things that relate to the job market and many other very critical components of the American economy. So stick right tuned and I hope you guys enjoy. So this entire situation starts on Friday morning. For the first time, ironically, in all of 2025, the Chinese started this problem. The Chinese were the aggressors here and the Americans were the reactionary party in this instance. China comes out and they say, we are going to impose a special docking fee on all American ships that enter Chinese ports. That would instantly raise the price of American goods that are coming out of China. Any tax on a business, any increase in cost on a business is ultimately at the end borne by the consumer. The most basic lesson of economics right then and there. So China goes for an aggressive chess move aimed at the American consumer and aimed at really rattling Washington into second guessing how much it can bully China. Trump, rightfully so, comes out and imposes really the only threat he knows how to impose against a formidable equal giant like China. He comes out with an aggressive tariff threat. He comes out with a tariff threat of 100%. And this would be in addition to all the previous tariffs. Now, needless to say, markets hated this news. This was Liberation Day 2.0. For a moment in time on Friday afternoon, I and many others, and you can go back to my Twitter feed, my TikTok, my Instagram, I was talking about it live. We thought we were going right back to Liberation Day with these crazy escalations between these two countries. But what ends up happening here is because Bitcoin, the Nasdaq, the S&P, the dollar, everything essentially but gold collapsed within an hour on Friday afternoon on weekend trading. Trump, during a press conference on Friday evening, a few hours later, says, don't worry about it. That's going to resolve itself. We're going to figure it out. He tackled literally in under 2 hours. That's how bad the market reaction was to all of it. And frankly, it's just a symptom of what we've been dealing with all of 2025. It's posturing. None of this can really come to fruition because if it does, it's economic suicide. It's suicide for the Americans. It's suicide for the Chinese. It's suicide for the Europeans. It's suicide for the Brazilians. It's suicide for the Indians. It's suicide for the Japanese. Everyone involved in this loses. There is no benefit to be gained from any of this. And that's why at the end, after all of this posturing from these parties and these sides, they give it up because they can't go through with it. And they know they can't go through with it. So one thing that I thought was really interesting about this episode was that in the aftermath of this episode, China didn't back down. China came out last night and they said, oh no, we're going through with those docking fees. We're looking at ways to implement it. Don't think we're stopping. So it's going to be very interesting to see how do the Americans now respond, because their cards are frankly off the table. They did their tariff threat and China said, all right, and you guys took it off yourself and we're still here threatening you guys. One fascinating thing that happened is the Europeans today, in a way, came to the Americans' rescue. They came out and they said that any Chinese technology that enters the European economic zone will now have to transfer its technology over to European governments that is in the countries that is hosting them. And that's a red line for China. China does not want to give up its technological IP. Look, that was the entire fight with TikTok. That's the entire thing with all of its EVs, with its phones, with everything, with DeepSeek. China does not want to give up its IP. And if China does not want to give up its IP, right, the Europeans doing this is a massive escalatory move. It's going to upset the Chinese, and maybe this was done at the request of the Americans that have some goodwill with the Europeans, believe it or not, after all the mess we caused with them in the beginning of this year, to do this. And we'll see where it goes, but I thought it was very interesting. And guys, to close out today's episode, I just want to briefly speak about what is happening in terms of goods prices, because we're starting to get news and data points, appliances, kitchen stuff, and you know, all of those tariffs actually went into effect today, believe it or not. Prices are already exploding for that stuff. In this case, prices are exploding because there was no grace period given like it was back in April. So the tariffs were warned and they already went into effect. So there was no time for companies to front load inventory and to stock their warehouses with untariffed inventory. So I want to see, because look guys, inflation is a problem. Trump won largely due to Biden's inflation in 2022 and 2023. And he won trying to fix this problem. And he's doing terribly so far. All the polling shows it's his weakest thing. So I want you guys to comment. How do you guys think Trump is doing on inflation and on the economy? Is he good? Is he bad? However you feel, just let me know. And thank you guys for watching.